Great Escape is a theme park located in Queensbury, New York, just under 10 minutes away from the very touristy Lake George and about an hour away from Albany. They are home to 6 different roller coasters, and a lot of coaster enthusiasts will just assume that this is one of the worst, if not the worst, Six Flags parks because of the coaster collection. But I'm making this review to tell you that that is not the case at all, because this is easily one of the most underrated parks I've ever been to. This park originally opened in 1954 as Storytown, USA, before becoming a Six Flags park in 1996. But as of this year, this park and a few others in the Six Flags chain have been sold off to EPR Properties and will be operated by Enchanted Parks. This is a very similar situation to Six Flags Darien Lake, but hopefully it works out better for this park, because there are much less parks in the chain, and they are all of a similar size to this park when it comes to how much investment they get, or how much they got when Six Flags owned them. So let's start with the entry experience. This park might be pretty far from most people, but it is pretty accessible because it's located right next to I-87. The parking lot is located across the road, so you will have to cross over a bridge to enter the park. Unfortunately, you do have to pay for parking, but it only costs $20, which is actually pretty cheap for a park of this scale. Admission to this park will cost you about $40. And just something I want to note real quick is if you bought a Six Flags Gold Pass before April 6th of 2026, then you can still get into this park with the pass. You'll just need to go to Guest Relations first, and they will scan your pass and give you an Enchanted Pass, which will also get you into the nearby Enchanted Forest Water Safari in Old Forge, New York. But once you're in the park, you pass by some really nice looking buildings, which is a great start to your experience. And let me just say that this park kind of has a weird layout. There is a creek that runs through the park, but there is only one bridge over it, so it essentially splits the park in half. But first I want to talk about the front half of the park, which is home to Ghost Town and Storytown areas. Storytown is probably the most charming area of the park because not only is it very well landscaped, but it also has this area with all of these little small houses that you can actually go in, which feels very weird to have at what was once a Six Flags park. And I think that this whole park just looks so nice. The area that I think could use some updates is the path back by Comet, but I wouldn't call it ugly at all. But back to Storytown, it really only has one roller coaster, which is Flashback. It's kinda just your average Vekoma boomerang, except not too long ago, they replaced the over-the-shoulder restraints with Vekoma's newer vest restraints, which really saved this ride in my opinion. It's still kind of a one and done for me, but still way better than before. This area also has a sky ride, which gives great views of the park. Ghost Town is definitely the better area for thrill rides though, because they have 2 roller coasters. Canyon Blaster is an aero mine train that gets a lot of hate. People usually call it boring and rough, but I honestly didn't even think it was that rough because I can think of many other arrows that are much jankier. And sure, it doesn't really have any forces, it was just a coaster that was so weird that it's good. I can't really explain why I like it, but I just do. There's also some nice theming along the course. The other coaster in this area is Steam and Demon, which is usually considered to be one of the worst roller coasters ever built. But I honestly didn't even think it was that bad either. I mean, yeah, the corkscrews are pretty rough, but I thought everything besides that was pretty good. Maybe the fact that my head clears the restraints made it a little bit more tolerable, because I can imagine it would be unbearable for someone who gets a lot of headbanging. Right next to Steam and Demon is Adirondack Outlaw, which is a fun time Vomitron. Unfortunately, this was closed for the day when I went, but from what I've heard, it offers an insane ride experience and is one of, if not the best ride in the park. And then Ghost Town is also home to Desperado Plunge, a pretty cool log flume that has kind of a surprisingly fast course before the drop, but unfortunately, the drop doesn't really have any airtime like some log flume. And as for the area itself, I think it looks very nice with all the western facades, and all the rides fit in very well. Then there is one more area in the front of the park, which is Timbertown. I didn't get the chance to go in this area because every ride here you need a kid to ride, which means you unfortunately can't get the Frankie's Mine Train credit, but it's also just kind of a dead end, so you never really end up passing through it to get anywhere. Then to get to the rest of the park, you have to cross over the bridge, and this area just looks so nice with all the other fake bridges and the train that runs next to the creek. It's areas like this that make you forget you're in what was a Six Flags park just last year. The back of the park doesn't necessarily have themed areas like the front, but the rides are nicely stylized. This back half is home to 2 different roller coasters, which I think also happen to be definitely the 2 best in the park. The first one you'll see is Bobcat, which I do think is definitely the best in the park. This is the park's newest roller coaster, their last being Frankie's Mine Train in 2005, so it was a really long coaster drought for this park. This is a new for 2024 Gravity Group family coaster, similar to something like Wooden Warrior at Quasi. I've heard for years that this coaster had really weak airtime and wasn't nearly as good as the other coasters of the same model, but everyone who says that is definitely wrong, because there were many moments on this coaster that had very strong floater airtime, and some of them were borderline ejector, like the first drop and Speed Hill. I also really like the Trick Trap Double Up, which feels very weird to experience on a traditional wooden roller coaster. I do feel like the double down towards the end could have been shortened a little bit to give more airtime, but besides that, I think that this is the perfect family coaster and a great fit at Great Escape. And I love how they gave it nice theming outside the entrance with Bobcat statues all over the place. But I can't talk about Bobcat without mentioning its predecessor, Alpine Bobsled, which was an Intamin bobsled coaster. And the park actually still has one of the bobsleds sitting out in front of the old entrance, which is really nice for honoring its history. The other coaster is Comet, which you kind of have to go through Hurricane Harbor to get to in this back area of the park. Comet is a PTC wooden roller coaster that originally operated at Crystal Beach in Ontario, just across the river from Buffalo in 1948, until being relocated to Great Escape in 1994. Relocating wooden roller coasters is no easy task. This is a very similar situation to Phoenix at Knoebels, but at least Comet has a steel support structure which probably helped. But as for the ride experience itself, I think it's really good. There are a lot of airtime moments, and some of them are pretty strong too. My favorites are the drop-off of the turnaround because it mixes strong airtime and laterals, the hill before the last turnaround because it kind of does the same thing, the speed hill, and the following camelback. Another good lateral moment is the bank speed hill, which combines laterals with a lot of side-to-side shaking, so it just feels so out of control. And for the most part, I think this coaster is pretty smooth for its age, but for whatever reason, the second valley jackhammers you so much. I think it could be because of just the amount of positive Gs it has. This coaster has surprisingly good positive Gs for a PTC wood coaster from the 40s. It might not have the same airtime as Phoenix, but I feel like it has a more aggressive layout when it comes to laterals, speed, and positives. So now that I've covered all the major rides in this park, there are some things I still want to talk about. I want to bring up park appearance again because it's something that really surprised me with this park. This does not feel anything like a typical Six Flags park. Usually when you think of Six Flags, you think of blacktop everywhere, very colorful and kinda ugly DC areas, and a lot of ads. But this park really doesn't have any of that. Instead, it focuses on charming areas and natural beauty, which fits really well with the surrounding area. The Storytown section is unique for any theme park, but especially for one that was recently operated by Six Flags. I also love how well this park is landscaped. This whole park just has like an outdoorsy in the woods kind of feel, which is very fitting. Another thing that can be kinda hit or miss with some parks is the operations. And I think they are okay at Great Escape. Most of the roller coasters do only run one train except for Comet and Bobcat, but these are the main ones you would want to re-ride anyway. And as for dispatch times, for the most part, they were pretty good, especially at Bobcat because of how new it is and how popular it is. Another thing that can be kinda mixed at certain parks is food. And from what I had, I would say it was pretty average. Not the best, but definitely not bad. Something I did notice about this park from the parking lot is that most of the license plates were from states other than New York. This is pretty weird, because usually when you go to a Six Flags park, it's mostly local teens who live under an hour away, but this seems to be more of a destination park for families. I think a big reason for this is the nearby Lake George, which attracts around 8 million visitors each year, which really isn't far off from places like Branson, Missouri, and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And now that the park is operated by Enchanted Parks, I think it will have a much brighter future than pre-2024. I feel like what they should really do is take out Steamin' Demon and replace it with a Vekoma suspended family coaster. This would be the perfect fit for this park's audience and would be very unique for the region. So in the end, I would definitely recommend this park to coaster enthusiasts and families who are in the area or even a few hours away on a road trip, because it has a great top 2, surprisingly very nice park atmosphere, and it's only about 10 minutes away or less from Lake George, which has many different things to do. So that brings up the question, is this the best park in New York? Well, not quite. I couldn't ever put this above Seabreeze, but it's definitely the second best in the state that I've been to. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.